8223, identify how coefficient changes in the equation f of x equals mx plus b affects the graphs of linear functions. Know how to use graphing technology to examine these effects. Basically what they're getting at is they want to know when the coefficient, or m, changes. How does it affect the graph? So I will let you know that when m becomes a greater number or a greater value, the more drastic or the steeper the line. So that would be the more it increases or decreases. Here would be an example. The slope in equation 1 is 2. The slope in equation 2 is 4. Okay? This number is greater than 2 or higher than 2. So this would actually increase faster. This would be like $4 an hour versus $2 an hour. You're going to make more money here than you are in the top equation. So I'm just going to prove to you that it is a steeper line by using some graphing technology. One form of graphing technology is actually by your MCA notes. This is the actual MCA calculator that you see on your test, which would look similar to this. Here's your MCA calculator. Big thing here is that make sure that you're in the graphing function, so you want to have the graphing command. Then you can go ahead and type in equations in these slots here. Notice it already has y equals. Well, if you wanted a variable, there's a thing it's called, and it's kind of cut off on this screen here, it's called xvar, which would be right over on the far left side of your thing. That's saying xvar represent your x variable. So when you push that, an x will appear into your equation, and then you can say minus, and then you'd hit 2, and a 2 would pop in, and then you could go ahead and graph that function, and it would graph y equals x minus 2 for you. I'm just using another interactive calculator from the website. Notice I have my two equations in here. Here's equation 1. That's going to come up in red. That's our 2x plus 4. Here's equation 2, which will come up in green. That has the slope of 4. Remember, we said this equation here would be steeper than the first equation because 4 is greater than 2. So it's going to increase much quicker than 2x. So I'm going to go ahead and hit graph here. And there I go. I graph it. Notice the one in green, the 4x plus 2, it is steeper than the one in red. This is increasing faster than the one in red. So there's that 4x plus 4. So if the slope is greater than the other number, it will increase faster than the other line. So in your first example, it says part A, the graph of the equation f of x equals 2x plus 4 is a line. What could be the equation of a steeper line than this? Well, here's the slope 2. So we just need to come up with an equation that would be steeper. Well, that would simply be f of x equals, well, I could say 10. 10 increases much faster than the other equation here. So this would be an example of a steeper line. Part B says what could be the equation of a line that has a y-intercept above the line. Well, if you think of it like this, this has an intercept of 4. So the way that this would be above that line, it would be simply here, takes that original equation here. So we have 2x plus 4 is what they give us in part A. If we want another line to be above that line, well, in order for it to be above, here's your y-intercept. If it's at 4 here, well, we could have something above it. This would be above it. So that would be 5, 6. So I would say f of x equals 2x plus, I could simply go 5. And that would be above that line. 2 says, which of the following best describes the new line if the slope of f of x equals 1/3 x plus 2 is multiplied to? So they're going to multiply the slope by 2. When you multiply 2 to 1/3, when you multiply by 2, your answer gets bigger. For instance, if you had a slope of 2 and you multiply by 2, you're going to get 4. So it gets bigger when you multiply by 2. So that means when I multiply the slope by 2, the line would become steeper. You'd have a greater slope. In question 4, it says Jen graphed the equation f of x equals 7x plus 1. Felix then graphed an equation that was a line 3 units below Jen's line. So if it goes below her line, you're dealing with your intercept here. So here's Jen's line, her y-intercept is 1. If you're going 3 units below, we're losing 3 spots here. When we lose 3 spots, that leaves us with the equation 7x minus 2. And the only equation that we have there is C. This will conclude lesson 8223.